when COVID hit, I decided I was going to travel Australia, and then I was building a website, and then I was starting a new career, and then I was starting then I went and found my real dad, and then I started a family, and now I have a baby. So I've always had like a reason, like, oh yeah, I'm not seeing my friends because I'm in the middle of something else. And all this time has passed, and I'm just finally catching up with my best friend next week. I've always wanted to just leave society behind. So what better moment could be presented than when there's a global pandemic and you're not supposed to be around people anyway. When I found my dad, that was kind of like my excuse not to connect with anybody else for a while. Yeah, it wasn't long after that where my girlfriend fell pregnant, and then it was all about the baby. It's like every 2 hours there's like sleep and feed, and then it's like you get to like 3 hours, 4 hours, and it stretches, and eventually you get to a point where like they're not so vulnerable, and they can stay awake longer, and they can go without feeds long enough that you can actually make real plans. Like, what are you going to do in 2 hours, man? It starts off so ridiculously overwhelming that everything's okay once it's only a little bit overwhelming. My friends are missing me. like for whatever reason, I never thought of that side of it. I was like, oh man, I miss my friends, but I've got to do this. Oh man, I miss my friends, but now I'm having a baby. Especially because like you kind of play a particular role in each social connection that you have. When we leave each other and we break off those connections, it actually hurts. And I guess I've always been kind of oblivious to that. Even with my like mum, you know, she just does what she wants to do. But for me, that's what you should be doing. And that's my like surprise. That's my like moment of like, oh, what? My friends are all feeling guilty that we haven't caught up in a while. I thought we were all just doing whatever we wanted to do and enjoying life and going on adventures and leveling up, growing, healing, loving, like exploring. Like, because I haven't been, you know, micromanaging my friends through their own issues, which is another thing that I feel like I used to do in the past. Like, and it's a thing that we do. We bond over problems. We bond over like negative behaviors. Like psychology will tell you all about that. Like if you engage in like negative behaviors and shitty things with one another, like drug use is like the obvious one, but even like junk food, you form a bond around like the fact that that's who you are as people. And it really strengthens a relationship, but it weakens the character. Like it weakens the individual, and eventually it will breed resentment because you'll start to hate your life. And then who represents that resentment and hating life is the people that you built it with. So all of your best friends become your worst friends if you don't engage in positive behaviors with them. Any relationship, any connections that we have, like we just give our best to it, and we do a lot of really cool stuff, and we learn together and we grow together, and then we carry that with us. And if people kind of like fall back into old patterns and stuff, that's okay too. Like no judgment even. COVID disconnected all of us, and we've got to like consciously and deliberately rebuild those connections. It's like a city that gets destroyed, you know, like we just had the big storms come through the Gold Coast and flooding and everything. That's kind of what's happened to us socially and financially. Everything's like destroyed. So it takes deliberate and conscious effort to rebuild life. Like you can't just continue on and ignore the mess. Like you've got to kind of like retrain yourself to re-enter society, because society was effectively closed. A lot of people had like that freeze response, just like, oh, but that just carried on for years. So yeah, there's a lot of healing to be done. So I'm just acknowledging that, and I'm like, okay, I gotta catch up with my friends. If you get anything out of this, please click the like button for me, leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, this is like a very tiny fraction of what I'm working on right now. Most of the things that I'm developing at the moment are either like totally anonymous, like you won't know that it's me that did it, or it's just I'm keeping it quiet because I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't like to when people are watching me like going, oh, I want to like sort of reproduce that result, like I want to make sure I actually get the result before people start copying.